let's talk about some things that I've been learning to pass on to you guys as knowledge, nothing else than that, and opinion, nothing else than my opinion. Um, First of all, I want to tell you guys everything that I say on this channel is nothing more than opinion. It is my expression of my understanding of criminal cases, criminal procedures, and how they play out. And feel free to correct me if you will. If you have knowledge of something that I've said that is wrong or is not totally correct, it's okay to correct me. Um, I'm just trying to get this channel up and going and trying to just take it in a different direction of the crime community other than just focusing on the current cases. Today, I thought I'd talk about serial killers and some of the ways that serial killers have in their mindset, some of the things that people have been able to find out about serial killers and how they operate, how they choose their victims and things of that nature. Um, well, let's begin. Like I said, my name's 12 Gauge, and I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the serial killers. Um, as you all know, there's been quite a few serial killers in our country that have gained notoriety based on their crimes and how they committed them. One of them that comes to mind is Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Um, from the research that I've done and some of the videos that I've seen about Richard, it seems that he grew up very impoverished, where he was not just like everybody else. It seemed like he was picked on due to the way his appearance was, and but people that grew up with Richard said he was kind of normal. He would play games. He would be funny. He would protect you, walk you to school, things of that nature. Some of the females that have been interviewed have stated that he was a um, very protective of them, walked them to school, and was a pretty good guy. The turn didn't happen until Richard was about 13 and his cousin Mike got released from the Vietnam War and came home and started showing Richard some of the photographs and images of people that he had killed, mutilated, raped, amongst other things. And this intrigued Richard, and he he was um he was still fascinated with hanging around his cousin Mike. Until one day he was over at his cousin Mike's, and his cousin and his wife got into an argument where his cousin took out a gun and shot his wife point blank. Um, Obviously, that was a very violent scene, and I'm sure Richard established some PTSD from that. I mean, who couldn't? You see somebody being shot right in front of you. It's not a good environment to be in, much less somebody that you know, that you've been close to, that is a relative. Um, so anyway, that is just one of them. As you can watch on YouTube, you can watch some of the videos and interrogations from people that knew him and interviews from people that escaped his murderous path. Another one that I watched the other day was um, the Oregon killer. It was one abusing females that would be out late walking along. I think it was called I-90. maybe something like that. I'll have to go back and find the road, but um, there was two sets of girls that were walking in twos. One was with their parents. One set of girls was with their parents, actually camping in the area, and they went off to use the phone. Upon using the phone, they were never heard from again. They vanished. So it was noted that possibly the Oregon State killer picked them up and did something to them, and their bodies were found by two hunters in the woods, covered up with sticks, and nobody, there were no witnesses, there was nothing. There were just two females that were badly decomposed. There was another set of females that were using a phone along that road after leaving their boyfriend's house. They had been at one of the girl's boyfriend's houses, and then they walked 2 minutes down to the phone, um, possibly to ask for a ride home. Upon getting to the area where the phone was, they started walking, I guess, presumably to their house because they couldn't get a hold of anybody. Well, anyways, a person stopped, asked them if they needed a ride. They declined. Um, he offered them some drugs, which changed their mind, and they got in the vehicle. As soon as they turned the corner, the individual locked the doors on them, and they were unable to get out due to him making the door unable to be opened from the inside. Well, presumably, this individual pulled off the side of the road, took one of the girls out forcefully, and assaulted her, beat her down, but there was no sexual assault. There was just a strangulation. That was his method of killing, strangulation. Um, then he returned for the other girl, took her out. She fought to the point where she had bruises on her knuckles when her body was found later on by investigators. It has showed bruising on her knuckles and possibly some DNA that was extracted from hitting the individual. These two cases, one was solved, obviously, the other one is still wide open because there's been some other females that have been abducted and found on that stretch of highway on the Oregon coast. One thing that I wanted to talk about as far as serial killers or just killers in general is many times people think that, they're stalking their victim, you know. Well, as I've identified in most of my teachings and books that I've read in my classes and stuff like that, that could be a form. But another thing is opportunistic victims, meaning that, you could just be driving by and see the opportunity, like the Oregon State killer. The opportunity was it was a dark highway in the middle of the night. There were two females, grab them. Nobody was around. Nobody would be able to identify your vehicle and do what you do and be off and running. The opportunity was there. The motive was there. And there was no sense of I didn't get away with it because he did get away with it. For now, opportunity, motive, accessibility, and understanding of the method in which he finishes his victims off. In this case, strangulation. With Richard Ramirez, the opportunity was home invasions. Um, He was a drug addict, and he lived on the skids of or not New York, Los Angeles. Um, he would break into homes, and after he he would do what he did as far as his crime, which was, you know, as sexually assaulting the females and then shooting them in the head. And if there was a male in the house, he would take the male out first due to the threat of being stopped by a male, which is understandable. Um, and then he would take some sort of trophy from the females, either for drugs or just as a trophy. Um, it's very intriguing when you think about serial killers because none of them are the same. There's recent crimes right now going on where people think that it's just cut and dry, where this happened plus this plus this equals this. If it was that simple, a lot more cases would be solved. On average, 50% of all cases are go unsolved. And there's not only male serial killers, there's female serial killers as well. Um, Lizzie Borden, you know, gave her dad 40 whacks, with a knife, with a hatchet. I mean, Molly Hatchet or Lizzie Borden, one of those two. I gotta do better research before I talk, but it's one of those two. I think it was Lizzie Borden. Um, 40 whacks with an axe, And most of the time, when a female kills and uses a knife because it is up and close personal, you know, um, they're not far from their victims, so they can a lot of times they choose a knife because it's personal and it's very vindictive, meaning that they get their satisfaction from um, finding their victim suffering and being that close to them in order to make sure that they get their victim deceased. There was a lady here in Texas. Her name was Carla Faye Tucker. They called her the axe or the pickaxe killer. She went to burglarize a home, um, and ended up killing the individual who she knew. And there was another female on the bed with the individual, which she stuck the pickaxe into the male, I think 40 times or 28 times, something like that, and then left the pickaxe in the female after she killed her. Um, so it's very personable. And it was stated by Carla Faye that each time that she plunged the pickaxe into the person, she was sexually aroused. So this is a portion of the kill as well. It to become aroused sexually because it's so exhilarating to you having that much control and that much power over another person. Um, you know, some of the cases that we have going on right now, the Delphi, the Idaho 4, you know, Kylie Ridley, those type of cases, there's a lot of information of misreading the information, um, taking the PCA from the Idaho 4 as being the basis along the puzzles that are leaving puzzle pieces for others to find, so therefore they can solve it. I honestly, in my opinion, do not think that the Idaho 4 case is is that simple. If it is, then Brian is the killer. It's either one way or the other. It's either Brian was the killer and he attempted to get away with the perfect murder and just made a mistake leaving his DNA behind. He was spotted in the car, And they have video of that. They actually have him getting out of the car, getting back into the car, or he was there as a lookout or as someone that was kind of a consultant, teaching whoever did it or supervising them as they were doing it and teaching them how to clean it up, how to get away with it. That's one theory. Another theory is he was there but looking out or was invited there for a drug deal or a transaction, and they set him up for the fall. Not necessarily the police, but the people that ultimately did the crime. Because they ran into him, he befriended them, he knew the house, he knew the people, and he basically was trying to just get a drug deal or go drop somebody off to make a drug deal, and he got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know about the DoorDash driver. There's been so much speculation on that. There's been speculation all through the year. Brian was the DoorDash driver, Emma Bailey was the DoorDash driver. These people were the DoorDash driver, which there is no founded um, proof that any of this is true. So therefore, these people are innocent until proven guilty, or until other evidence arises. So the fact that their name is even being put out there like that, or the names that I've named already are being put out there like that as specifics as they did this and they did that, it's sad to have that kind of notoriety for something that you probably weren't even a part of. That getting back to the DNA part of all this that I've been talking about, you know, I read about a case where um, an individual was taken into custody and the officer got some of his DNA on him and then ended up working a murder scene where the individual's DNA that he got on him ended up on the murdered person, and that became the DNA of interest. They arrested this guy for murder, in which he helped earlier. He was convicted, went to jail, wrongfully convicted, and let out. Now, that is just that is just crazy to think about that you can be around somebody. Like, I just got a haircut, and I was telling the person who cut my hair, it's like, think of all the people that you encounter throughout your day that you get, you cut their hair. All the DNA that's all over you, all the transfer DNA that is all over you, all the DNA that is floating throughout this shop, all the transfer DNA. God forbid if anything violent ever happened in that shop, there'd be tons of DNA in there. Also told her that I read where DNA can actually stay in a woman 80 years after they have intercourse with somebody. So think about all the partners that you may have had. A part of them is inside of you if you've been promiscuous, which, when I was younger, I own that. But think about that, 80 years to have a piece of DNA in somebody. That is a long time, and that is very scary to think about. Well, this is my second video, and I hope they get better, and I hope they get a lot more insightful. I'm almost through with my bachelor's in criminal justice, So I'm just sharing a little bit of what I've learned. So it's not hearsay, it's not speculation. The theories that I have presented in this video are nothing more than my opinion, my theory, and whether it's right or whether it's wrong, the only person that can be accountable for that is me, not you. You know, I'm not perfect. I speak it as I learn it. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, a very Merry Christmas. Peace out.